Are we on? Yeah. Shedman coming at you with an update on Mickey. Y'all might remember this car. Yeah. There's a few videos on here. I mean, I put new gas tank and tires and engine, totally went through the engine and all that stuff with it. You'll notice now, there's no engine in it. Why is that, Shedman? Let me tell you what. Everything was going fine, man. I drove this car around, drove it all up in West Virginia and up in the mountains and stuff like that. Having a good time with it. Never had complete confidence in it, okay? And this is a cautionary tale just to tell you what can happen. Even though I spared no expense getting it put together and all that stuff and did my best I could, evidently that wasn't good enough. The other day, it's just been a few days ago, I went to go to town. And I backed this thing, I've been keeping it in the garage, I backed it out here, turned around. I got about 1.5 miles from home on my way to the liquor store, to be honest with you. And it quit, it just shut off. And I'm like, what's going on? Well, if you're not familiar with it, it's a 3-speed on a column. So I just left it in third gear and I was like, and I turned the key off and on. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it just, like you shut the key off. Well, I let back out on the clutch again in third gear, and it just, all of a sudden, it caught. And when it did, boom, it blowed the muffler off of it. No, not off of it, it pumpkined the muffler, as some people say. It blew the muffler off. Now it's real loud, and it's still running. I'm like, oh, man. And I've got one of these, this orange box that you can see here. That was, these new orange boxes, Mopar boxes, are not what they used to be. They'll have intermittent failures like that, and they're junk. You have to keep 2 or 3 of them with you or try to find a good one. I don't know what to do. I don't know what the answer is on that. So I said, okay, I'm gonna need a box. So I turned around. I said, this thing liable to just quit. I'll be lucky if I can make it back to the house. I turned around, and I'm coming up the road here, and as I turned in the end of my little rut lane, the oil light came on for just a second, and I thought, well, it quit, or I kind of greenhorned it. Maybe I've got it in second and I should be in first, and I almost stalled it out and that light came on. It kind of flickered at me. And I thought, well, I come on up my road here, which is about a 1/2 mile long. And by the time I got to the garage, the oil light's flickering a little bit more, but I'm trying to, is this thing quitting or what, And pulled in the garage here, and the oil light was on when it was idle. I revved it up and it would go out, but as soon as I let off the gas, oil light come back on. So I shut it off. All right, so I said, man, what is going on here? I thought, well, maybe it's the sending unit, which I knew it wasn't. It's acting just like it would if you actually didn't have any oil pressure for some reason. So I put a new Melling M66C oil pump on it, standard volume, I've changed the oil every 500 miles in this thing since I've been driving it. And I'm gonna have to look here and see how many miles I actually put on this engine. But anyway, I thought pressure relief in the oil pump or something. Long story short, took the oil pump off of it, nothing's wrong, which I pretty well already knew that. I hooked a oil pressure gauge up to it, an actual gauge, not this one, but one like this. So I actually see what it was. And you start it up, it had like 4 pounds of pressure, then it'd rev it up, it'd go up to about 25, where it used to hold about 50 at idling, cold or hot, warm, it did good. So, pulled the motor out of it. And upon further inspection, it spun a cam bearing. I think number 3 cam bearing, it spun that cam bearing out of it. And it was halfway out, spun, and we checked it out, and everything seems to be okay. But man, I have lost confidence in this thing. I'm apathetic about it, actually. I'm not mad at it. I'm not disgusted or whatever. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not putting it back together. So I've got it for sale. And it's on C-Bodies, for C-Bodies only. If you want to go look at it there. I've got it for sale. And if it doesn't sell, I'm going to drag it out here in the field by the shed. And every time I think about getting a new project car to work on, I'm gonna go out there and look at it and go, nah, I think I'm good. Spent a lot of money on this thing, and it ain't no big deal. And everybody says, oh man, I can't believe you're putting it back together. I said, hey, considering that I have access to a machine gun, a flamethrower, tannerite, and my very own YouTube channel, old Mickey's getting off easy. Ha! You know what I mean? But yeah, cautionary tale. Don't get yourself buried in these things where it matters, is what I'm trying to say, is the moral of the story. I can shove this thing over in the field or I can sell it and it doesn't move my needle either way. I'm not bragging, I'm not complaining, but whatever it is you're doing, don't get yourself in there where you've got to come out, you know, to make it, or it's going to hurt you if you can't come out, where I got to sell this thing now. Well, you can't. Any of these cars and any of these guys who do this stuff will tell you that you're not going to get into them you're not going to get out of them what you put into them anyway. But when something like this happens, now it don't even run. You know, I'm starting back over at square one, and whoever I try to sell it to, you know, that's the selling point. Well, here it is. Yeah, it looks pretty good, but it's, you know, it's blowed up. Motor's over here in a million pieces at somebody else's house. Don't, you know, the way I've got it set up is, don't matter. Okay, I got to drive around a little bit. Now, you know, you can't sell it to nobody because it's in such, you know, the motor's out of it and blah, blah, blah. Nobody wants to fool with it. And I don't blame them. They might be smarter than I am. So here it sits. And it's going to be sitting out there by the shed before too long, because I'm going to get a sewing machine and I'm going to start quilting. And my wife's got a sewing machine. She's going to show me how to use it. I'm going to start quilting. So there's going to be some quilting going on the shed show here before too long. Some nice quilts. I'm looking at some different patterns now and different things to do like that. So no more projects. This is it. I'm done. Heck with it. And that's the update on Mickey. And that's the final update. Till maybe I'll show you a picture of it sitting over here by the shed. I'm gonna put it in the shade, nice little resting area. The field mice, if somebody don't care about the field mice and give them a place to chew on little burlap sack stuff that they put underneath the seats in these Mopars, who will take care of them? They'll just be field mice. They'll just be out in the field. I want them to have, winter's coming, they need a place to stay. And that's it for the shed show. See you next time.